Hi everyone. I was scheduled to do a demo for Lyme Art Association in June, and it looks like that's not going to happen. So I figured I would just show you about Pastel as if we're at the demo. and so Pastel, for those of you who aren't familiar with the medium, it's pigment, pretty much pure, the same pigment in oil and watercolor minus the oil and the water, with a binder, and you'll see me working with the sticks. So for today, I'm just going to do a really quick, direct method still life from a photograph. I've already painted this subject. I had the flowers set up, and I took photographs and actually painted from life. And I'll show you my sketch. Here's a quick, ugly sketch that I did. It's just a thumbnail for the plan where the lights and darks are. And this is the finished piece. It's kind of small in size. And I really didn't see those colors. The daisies were white, not yellow, and I kind of made it up as I went along as far as the background colors. I don't know, I just went crazy. So I thought I would, and this was done on a burgundy paper that almost the color up here, and it's a velour surface, velvet, I should say, surface suede velvet. So I'm going to use instead this time, same photograph, I'm going to work on a black piece of sanded paper. It's UArt is the brand, and I think you can see the line drawing I did, this general line drawing here. And oftentimes when I use pastel, I underpaint, meaning I use watercolor or other colors of pastel underneath. But this time I chose to, I hope you can see, this time I'm choosing to just put it on directly so this video doesn't get to be too long and too boring. So here's my photo reference. As I said before, you could see how this is in the studio, actually, right to the right of me, where the light was coming in, and made some interesting patterns. I had all kinds of junk on the table. The flowers were white, but I changed, I don't know. I'm pretty organic when it comes to my palette choice, and I generally work from a black and white, such as this. This is a, just kind of a 3-scale photograph of this that I use a special app for that puts it into 3-scale. If you're interested, you can ask me about it. Okay, so I'm gonna stick this up here and get to work. I have some of my colors pre-chosen, and generally I go in with my darks first. My paper is so dark, so I don't know where I'm gonna go with this, but I'm gonna aim for a very, instead of doing the burgundies, I'm gonna just change. I don't want to make the same painting. So that's pretty dark. I'm going in with this, and I'm carving, just setting up. I'm not exactly sure where I'm going. Whoa, that's really packs a punch against black. This is the color. I don't know if you can see the stick. If I put this stick on white, see how dark that is in comparison? It's amazing. It so depends what's underneath, the colors. So I'm going to leave some of the black showing and not fill it in so much because I want the opportunity to filter other colors through or on top if I change my mind as I go, which I often do. So perhaps, oops, oh, how did that happen? It's a blue stick with red in the center. That's bad. It made like a bright red. Okay, here we go. This is a little duller. I'm going to use this blue, which is failing me right now. Let's see, come on. I'm going to peel the paper off. I just generally use the sides of these things as if it's a big fat paintbrush. There we go. See, this color has less chroma, a little bit, and I like it for down here perhaps. And I'm kind of painting around the big shapes. And let's see. I'm going to use this for the shadow as well. Might be a little dead for shadow color. I'll add to it and change it as I go. Oh, my vase is probably not straight, but pastel is so forgiving. You can hear the scratching of the pigment against the black paper. You know, the papers come in all different colors. This just happens to be black. Okay, so I'm getting my darks in. This time I'm going to use a literal green, a literal dark. Let's see if I can go. What do I have? Something darker than that? No, that's lighter. Let's see. Maybe I'll go with this. And I'm just blocking in, filling in. That's a little warm. I think I want to try to go cooler. I'm going to reach over here and see if I can't find, well, you know what I'm going to do is add a very dark blue on top of this green so that I'm going to filter this color because I want it to be green. I don't have a dark green right at my disposal. Let's try that. Nope. Yeah. All right, I'm just going to fill this in for now. And let's see, there's a red flower up in there. I decided I might, instead of going with the reds, look for burgundies. So this is, and once I do that, I want to kind of determine what my, I'm going to go in with this a little more dead, this color. I'm going to determine what color I want the light to be. In the first painting, I think I made the light warm, like yellow, but I want this light to be cooler somehow. So I just decided this ahead of time for no good reason. So I'm gonna go, has to be lighter. My value scale has to be lighter than this, than if this is my darkest dark. I want this to be light. I might still pull it towards light more. Let's see. But here's my quick plan. It is nice to just go in with fresh color. The daisy, this is a daisy over here. It has some shape to it, so I'm going to create that as I go, perhaps. Let's see. All right, and so I have a light there. I have lights in the flowers, but I'm not ready to put them on yet. I just wanted to set up my background. There's a light shape right in here, and I'm also going to use the same color just so I know to put some lights in. And there's some lights coming through here, and then there's midtones. Let's see, and I'm going to do this and pull this through, and whoops, works up pretty quick when you have black paper. I want to pull this background, finish filling this in just so I'm not kind of left open here. Pastel is really not wet. It just stays what it is. It doesn't dry a different color. It's just powder. It's like a powder. Not chalk. It's definitely not chalk. Now I want to go in and start to develop some of the flowers. So let's see what I might want to do. Well, I want a mid-tone in here. I can't go lighter than this. So then that tells me I need to bring this to lighter for this to work. So I need that contrast there. But if I just put this down, right down, it looks too white. I needed the slightly darker value blue underneath. So that now these will read more. I can get my midtones in once I do this. And I can fix my angles later. I can always adjust. Let's see. I might want to keep this kind of, look how much more turquoise it is when it's not filtered over that different blue in there. And I'm kind of a negative space painter, so I think not about the object, but what fills around the object. The centers of these flowers are quite dark and generally warm, so I'm just right away putting in those shapes. And there's two, you know, very dark centers. And actually, I think I want to bring, darken some of this rose, shape of the rose. Give myself a nice rich dark in here. So sometimes you can go darker. Generally, pastel is worked dark to light. Usually I have people asking me questions when I demo. So I use my apron to clean the pastel because when I put a color down on top of another color, it picks up the dirt and then it's like working with a dirty paintbrush. So I always tell my students to make sure that they're working with clean color. So now I have to go back to that mid-tone I want of the petals of this rose, the daisy, and it is in shadow, and you can see it in the photograph here. Mostly it's in shadow, so it's, you know, it looks white, but it's not white. It's really kind of a mid-tone in most places. So let's see. I'm going to pull this through. I'm keeping this palette pretty simple. I'm not getting too crazy with color, just because I want to, you know, get this done quickly. I don't want to take up a lot of your time. Let's see. So see, I will lighten parts of this flower as I go, but I have to try to find a color that's a little darker in here maybe. Let's see, that's not really darker actually. I squint a lot in order to tell. There we go. Something like that. Maybe I'll bring it back up again. Sometimes I'll put a dark down in order to blend and break up the color a little bit. So let's see. Oops, this was the same color. Here we go. So I'm going to get this, there's a magenta, brighter magenta piece over here. Just getting this in. Filling that one in. There's another dark burgundy, oops, rose, not dark enough. So you have to also remember the colors you use when you start. You know, you have to, like when I'm working slowly, I put those colors aside so that I have them at my, you know, fingertips and I don't lose them. You know, if I keep a working palette, which I have down below, that's helpful. Let's see, I don't want it to be exactly the same shade. You know, maybe I'll throw in, make it towards rust. I don't know how that's going to work yet. I don't like that. Sometimes oops, that's really bright. Sometimes I make a test. Let's see if I pull this up towards red again. The edges of things are the last thing I'll play with, and with pastel, if you rub a little bit, you can soften an edge. There's many ways to soften an edge. I often don't use my fingers. I mainly use another pastel to a harder version of a different brand of pastel to soften edges, and that way I'm not putting my fingers and smearing the pigments together. Like that's how mud is made when you keep on rubbing and rubbing. So I try to keep the colors fairly pure until it's time to, you know, to do more with them. Here, I'm going to use this as, I don't know, it's just a dulled out version of a red that is pleasing to me right now. And because I don't want the chroma everywhere on this piece, and I want the eye to, you know, I'll figure out in this painting which is my focal point. I'm gonna let's see. I like the idea of, you know, using green leaves through here, which I didn't have in the other piece. I like that. That could be attractive. We'll see. I'm just making shapes right now, and you know, maybe I want to keep, I don't want there to be a big value shift just yet. Okay, now, tricky. So now I want to find a middle tone, something that is lighter than my dark, but darker than my lightest light. And this is just a neutral, which I think I'm gonna go with so that I don't draw too much attention. You know, bright colors are gonna draw attention, and maybe I want the attention to be up here in this piece. The other piece I showed you, I really went crazy with color, but it's easier to be brave when people aren't watching you, I think. So if you notice, I'm painting the midtone around the shape. I mean, this center is the stem of the stems of the flowers, you know. And then there's a dark in here as well. I'm gonna not fill that in. Sometimes you can even leave the paper. What do I have in here? I have some nice rich darks. I'll show you this is what they look like. This is some of the, this is a Terry Ludwig set. Very dark. And I'm deciding where to go with my color. This is a little brighter. I wonder how that's gonna read. Let's see. Might be okay. Here's my dark. Remember I was like searching for that? I kind of found it now. Yeah, I'm putting it over this violet purple. There we go. And I'm going to go back to filling in, what did I do with that stick? The neutral one that I was using. Was this it? Yeah, this is it. I might stop the camera if I get flustered. I figure you'll forgive me. Here we go. I'm getting those midtones back in. The vase comes pretty much all the way down here, and I often just get the drawing in and I worry about symmetry and, you know, if it looks wonky, you know, the man-made object should be drawn properly, and oftentimes with me it's not, and I'll, you know, that's where I struggle the most. I have tricks. I've learned some tricks on how to, you know, figure out how to make my you know, objects to be, you know, not so wonky. Let's see. It almost also doesn't matter about color as long as you, now I'm filtering a lot of different colors through the darks in here. As long as your values are right, then the bones of your painting should be fairly, you know, you should have good bones, I could say. That's my expression, and with which to build, you know, which to build a nice, interesting value scale for your painting. So I'm doing this. And then, where am I? I'm going to go back to my color. I work from both color and light, but I'm not being literal at all to the color. I mean, one day I might do this like literal, you know, what I knew the colors to be. But for now, I'm happy making up color. It's been a thing of mine. Let's see. So I have to go a little, in this area here, it gets a little warmer if I'm going with this kind of blue-gray. It gets a little lighter. That's probably too light, but it does get, the petals sit in front, and there's these shapes that are pleasing. You know, I like that pattern of light. This painting is basically cool. It's interesting, a cool temperature compared to the other one, which, you know, was kind of crazy and it had more saturation, and I can change all of this in a heartbeat. Once I get this down, I can start saying, oh, let's see. Well, let's see if I warm that flower up just for fun. Let's see what happens. Maybe this daisy, look, I'm putting this bright, warm yellow, very saturated actually. And then, oh, this is going to be fun. I kind of like this. Now, I'm going to make this daisy not blue, even though that one is. They can be different colors. There we go. I just looked at it and went, wow, I need some warms. There we go. Oh, I'm much happier with this. So I'm just hitting the shapes in. I'm going to look for a darker center. That is, where's my nice, here, this, I set up some colors ahead of time. There we go. I like that. So maybe this is working. Let's see. All right. I'm I never work this fast. I'm working really fast just because I don't want this video to be going on forever. Okay, and let's see. So if I'm using that yellow in there, I'm going to use the same yellow up here. I'm looking up here where I see some brights. And there's some like purple flowers sitting on top. I think these were spider mums. I'd have to really look at the photo. I'm just painting shapes. So yeah, it was kind of a spider mum. And then below that, well, it gets darker. So I have to find maybe this is darker. I make a dot, and if I can tell by the value, oh, here we go, that's what I need. The value shifts to, it's a little bit more in shadow down here. I'm just going to fill this in. And there's a bit of green in here. So I'm going to add it. I'm going to start adding, some green accents so that these feel alive. This is a whoops, I just broke my pastel. This is a warmer green. I'm mixing the warms and the cools. Let's see, in between here, it's quite dark. But I'm going to paint, again, leave some of the black and insinuate some light stems, I can't talk and paint at the same time. There we go. And, I'll start saying to myself, okay, well, it would be quite dark right under this rose. You really wouldn't, so I'm going to knock that back. And do I want to add this purple accent? I'm not sure, because it's like, let's see, I've got blues, I've got oranges, I've got reds. That's where I'm at with little touches of green. So I'm not sure if I want to really start doing this as far as, oh, I do want to do this. I want to pull this is part of this divide here, and it really sits behind the vase. And then I probably want to bring some of the petals over the vase. That's kind of important for it to look nice. And I won't finish this. I'm just showing you pastel approach and how I think, what my thought process is when I'm working. And I'm doing a little bit forming of the flower itself. Let's see. This is so nice and dark in here. I want to keep that dark for now. The vase is fun. It's also detail oriented. So let's see. I am probably gonna highlight some of it, and to make it look like glass, that's maybe too light. We'll see. And I mean, I normally wouldn't be going in this light this fast, but I'm doing this just to show you how I might develop the glass. So I'll make a little tick. I'm not going to outline the whole vase. That would probably look a little cheesy. I know there's some light, and this is a blue. This is actually, it looks white, but it's actually a very light blue. It's probably a little too light, but I can always like put something a little darker on top. But I like the shape, and I don't copy my photo, but if there's a shape I like, I certainly am going to capitalize on that. So see, I put that light blue there, and I'm going to filter more chroma and a little bit of more color in here. And it's almost like the tree holes, we call them when you're doing a landscape. I'm building in some negative space. Same through here, building in negative space through here. Maybe I want the reflection. I'm figuring if there's a lot of green in the center, maybe the water is going to appear green or green blue. I'll adjust all this as I go. I always do, but my goal lately is to try to not fuss so much and just get it right. Okay, and I think, I think I'm going to put the, just the edge, a little bit of the edge of the glass in here. And let me find a dark blue gray if I can. Let's see, I like this. Oh, I want it to be darker than that. It's funny with grays, it's hard to tell. Sorry for if my head's in front of the camera. Where the heck is that? I know I have it. Oh, here, maybe this will be good. Yeah, this is what I want. I just want to push this area back. It's just a nuance. There's like, it's very dark and then it gets a little less dark here. And perhaps I'll put a petal just coming off the edge of the vase like this. What else can I show you guys quickly? There's still tons of paper, you know, left. This is pure paper, and there's spaces in between here that I would slowly begin to develop. Oh, I can start adding some lights. Let me just show you maybe what I would do here. I'll just show you, put some clips, you know, light clips, clips of light, however you would say it, through here. You know, and I sometimes, you know, make it up. It's, and I might, you know, this is my lightest light right now, so I might end up bringing my lights up even further. I'm not sure. Like, for instance, ooh, that's really white. Looks so white. It's not. It's blue. But, you know, that might give a little contrast, a little drama. You know, I don't want to make it too busy. If I start hitting it too much, it's going to end up being really busy. And we don't, you know, that wasn't really, wouldn't be my intent, you know. And I have to fix the shape of the petals down below, which I'll do as time goes on. And let me see, there's lots of light coming through here. I like these kind of shapes that come this way. I wonder what I am for time. I can look. Oh, 26 minutes. That's pretty good. There'll be a very warm highlight eventually. Let me see if I can find the yellow quickly. Like, what I do for a highlight is I go a little darker, like this. Believe it or not, this. I'll put this on, looking where the light is. It's right here. Okay, so I'm going to do that as the highlight, and then that's a yellow, and then I'll filter it on top and hopefully get it right the first time. But again, I put that on way before I would normally if I was painting this. I still have to paint everything inside the glass. I just want to show you the marks I might make. And some of the things I might do, like here's the stems. And the stems are, you know, there some of them are, you know, kind of greeny brown, I mean, in real life. And I was saying how I want to warm up this palette a bit, and I'm going to use the reds. I just decided that that's perfect. I made this decision right in this moment. I was struggling with this area, but I need the warmth in here, I really do, in order to make this balance a lot better, you know, visually and color-wise. So I'm happy with this start. I might even filter a little bit of burgundy, you know, through the foreground. So I am done for now. I will eventually maybe finish this. Oh, I don't know where to look. I'll eventually finish this painting and send you the finished clip. Maybe I'll take progress shots along the way. So this is about 28 minutes, and it was fun. Okay, bye. Bye, guys. Bye.